The opinions expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host and participants and do not reflect the views of Taunton Community Access and Media, Inc., its management, or directors. Hi, welcome to Charlie Flannery Presents. I'm your host, Charlie Flannery. And today, I'm very pleased to have as my guest, Mr. Bryan Casey. Bryan,
Hey.
welcome to
having me.
Charlie Flannery Presents.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we've known each other
For a while.
for a while now,
Yeah.
and I don't know why, but we've just never had you on the show.
Huh? It's busy schedules, I guess.
Today is the day.
Yes.
Today is the day. So, tell me now, where are you from these days?
Now I live in Portsmouth. That's where I've been living for most of my life.
Down near Newport.
Huh?
That's down near Newport.
Yes, about 15 minutes away from it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And is that where you're from originally?
No, I was born in Virginia, in an Army hospital. My dad was in the Navy, and but we eventually moved up to the Newport. So. Yeah.
What am I? My stepson
Mm-hmm.
was born in a military hospital in Virginia. I wonder
Right.
if it was the same one.
McDonald?
I don't know. It was from her first marriage. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, it was McDonald Army Hospital in Newport News.
Well, he was in. Her brother was in the Marine Corps, so I
Mhm.
don't know if that had anything to do with it. But small world, sometimes, you know? small world. So, what are you doing with yourself these days?
Right now I'm kind of on hiatus. I'm doing more promotion while a couple of films are in post-production. Right now we're very close to wrapping up post-production on my first feature film. That's called This Time Each Year.
This time each year?
Year, yeah.
Okay.
And that stars Steve Vaughn and David Adams Murphy as the two leads.
Uh-huh.
It also features Rosemary Pacheco, Minerva LaPlante. Those are our main cast from present day scenes, and the rest is all flashbacks.
Rosemary, we've been trying to coordinate getting her onto the show for 2 years now.
Yeah, she's very busy also.
Yeah, it just hasn't happened, you know?
Well, that's the struggle of working with people who are in demand, is that you really want them on your show. Same with my show as well, Short Film Showcase. It's very difficult to get certain people on because they're just always working.
Are you still doing that with Mike?
That also, it was on hiatus. We were looking to kind of revamp the show.
Uh-huh.
Content was running a little bit dry because we weren't getting as many films locally as we hoped to. But we opened up an account on Film Freeway, and we started accepting, I guess, like a film festival.
Uh-huh.
And we got so many, I actually had to pause it. We had like 400 submissions in the first couple of weeks.
Wow.
And we're getting them from all over the world, with 40 different countries so far. So we're looking to really broaden the appeal of the show, especially since we want to bring it down to other markets. I now have a connection down in New York, so we're going to bring it down to the New York market, New York City, Manhattan, Brooklyn, all those. And we're also going to bring it down to the Maryland, D.C. area. So, you know, we're hoping to bring the New England film scene down to New York. So hopefully get exposure not only for ourselves, but people who come on the show.
Nice. A very nice concept. Now, is this something that evolved with you and Mike? Or is this something separate? Is there a nexus?
It started because I went on Deb Hoke's show, A Woman's Outlook, which is weird that I was on that kind of show, but I was promoting a film at the time.
You're such a chauvinistic SOB, too. I can't believe they'd have you on.
So and then I talked to her, I said, I want to do a show, because at the time, there weren't too many shows in the area that promoted the local film scene, and we wanted to raise awareness that there was more going on than just Hollywood films coming around. And so I told her I wanted to do a film that would showcase short films, hence the name, and and also give a chance to interview local talent, actors and directors, to tell what's going on, and maybe hopefully it would be a little educational. Because I didn't want people to just come on and just promote. I wanted it to be somewhat personal, get to know the person, and I wanted to show people who are non-filmmakers. You may have some kid that watches it who says, well, I've always wanted to do this, how do I get into it? And in New England, it's not that easy to jump into the scene unless you know someone that's in it. Because for a while I was living here, I didn't know there was any filmmaking going on. I got lucky getting onto my first project, and from there, you just get introduced to different people, and you just get around. One job leads to the next. So hopefully, they'll see someone on our channel, someone on our show, and they'll say, hey, that's my way. I can really get a shot at this.
Are you shooting this under the aegis of that community access?
Yes.
Was that in Seekonk?
Yeah, Channel 9 in Seekonk.
Well, after the show, if you'd like to talk to the people here, they might be receptive.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't speak for them.
Right.
But it's funny because I'm in the process of talking to a few other cable access outlets.
Good.
And the people here have allowed me to proceed that, just to get it out there. I've been very reliant on YouTube, but I like the personal touch of dealing with other.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
YouTube ideally reaches the world, but unfortunately it's hard to market because it's so crowded. It's hard to get any attention. So yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
It's better to have it on TV. People can just turn it on as opposed to going online.
And it helps. It also helps in the networking, the sharing of all this vibrant stuff that's going on.
Yeah, because I'm usually too busy to go to networking events, but this brings people I want to network right to me,
To your home.
and to Mike.
To your couch.
Yeah,
right to your couch.
Well, not my couch, but the studio couch maybe. But I never looked at it as just a cable access show. I went in fully prepared to make it something much bigger, and I got someone to do my theme song, an artist named Kawan Boyer. He gave us our jazzy intro music, and Alex Watras designed our logo, because I wanted it to be much more polished and professional looking, because when we first started, the music sounded very much like the evening news kind of music. It was like the closest they had to the film concept, and the titles were very plain, very ordinary. If you ever watch our first episode, there's a big difference between that and the later ones that are much more polished.
I haven't seen any of the later ones, but I did make an appearance.
Yes.
It has to be at least 2-3 years ago, I think.
No, not that long, because the show's been on about 2 years, about 2.5 years.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it was back then. Yeah. Back in. Just speaking for my own performance, my own appearance, it was unpolished.
Yeah.
So it might have been from that era. Yeah.
Maybe, yes. Well,
so what are you doing these days? You got a film going.
Yeah, I got This Time of Year. That's almost done. And we have 2 short films we recently wrapped, Between Us and What the Heart Wants. And those are currently in pre-production. And we're hoping to have them done maybe by January.
And you have who's in that movie Between Us that we kind of know?
You are.
Oh. And you say post-production will be done when?
We're hoping for January. That's what we're going for.
I have to check my schedule. We may have to book you on a second time. What's the plot behind the story?
Between Us, the original.
No, I'm sorry. No, the one we're seeing today.
Oh, This Time of Year. Okay.
That's a spoiler. That's a spoiler. It's not ready yet. Don't spoil it.
This Time of Year is about 2 estranged brothers who are trying to reconcile their past, and they're trying to find a common ground, which they're really struggling at. Every year they visit the grave of their deceased father, played by Bernie Larrabee, and each one of them has a very different way of looking back at their childhood. One's much more forgiving, I guess, of the way their parents raised them and their flaws, whereas another one is not so much. And that's the one played by David Adams Murphy. And so, and they go through all these flashbacks of what happened in their childhood. And the father's an alcoholic. He's a little bit on the abusive side. The mother is having an affair. She's played by Maureen Blacko.
It sounds like your typical American family.
Kind of, yeah.
I love it, yeah.
And I'm hoping it resonates with an audience. And, ultimately, I don't want one brother to be right and one to be wrong. I want the audience, some audience members are going to relate to the more forgiving one, some are going to relate to the other one, and maybe a little bit of both.
The cosmic duality of life.
Yeah.
Is this something that you wrote as well as directed?
I write all my screenplays.
Huh.
So.
Very nice.
I actually did writing first. I've been doing creative writing since I was 15. And so when I got into filmmaking, I started out doing special effects makeup. That's how I got into film in the first place. And it was actually Jill Poisson who gave me my first shot at directing. I did some makeup on her film, and we had an arrangement where there's going to be some kind of pay involved. But of course, in a lot of indie films, you can't pay. So I said, well, how about a professional trade-off? I've got this small script, and she agreed to shoot it and edit for the effects makeup on her work. The barter system. Yep. It works so well. So you brought a copy of the trailer for us to watch today? I did. Well, let's ask Chief Technician, Mr. Ben Fortier. Ben, can you put that up on the monitor for us? And it's called This Time of Year.
There for you, but you won't let me.
We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Find something.
I got a scar. You got a pocket watch.
Time is always past. You can either just let it pass or make the best of it.
Are you letting it pass?
To the best and prettiest teacher.
And such a lovely young lady as well.
No, I get you out of the house, right?
Yeah.
Old man's drinking again.
Hey! You watch your mouth. You show a little respect.
Yeah? Well, you drink!
Don't you talk to me like that!
Gets you discouraged also.
No, not just me. But you would never have turned to him.
I just want to know. Are you sleeping with her?
Daddy will be okay.
We are family. Can't that be enough for now?
Some will hold resentments till the end. Keep it in our hearts just like.
Wow. Nice work.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank
work.
You.
I can't wait to see the thing in its entirety. Is it done? Is it finished?
Right now we're at the stage where we're finished sound mixing. We're looking for some songs for the soundtrack, and we have to put in a score and titles, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's the length, the running time?
It's gonna be we're going about 70, 75 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's really a feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. How long did it take you to film that?
We shot it in 7 days.
Wow.
So
incredible.
Yeah. Well, we had a very hardworking cast and crew, very talented people.
What do you mean you want another take? You've already had 2 takes. The first one was the best, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. They say Clint Eastwood does everything in 1 take.
Maybe. I'm not sure if that's true.
Well, yeah. So he says, and I'm certainly not going to be the one to argue with Clint Eastwood.
Sometimes it works. Yeah. Sometimes you get a scene first take and you're like, you don't need any more. But
I spent 20 years in the music business, you know, performing, writing, producing, and it'd be funny because we'd be in the recording studio, and you know the meter would be running. Back then, if you could get time in the middle of the night for $100 an hour, it was a deal, you know.
Right.
And you know there'd always be some guitar player. Damn guitar players, you know. They'd want to do 26 takes of the solo. You know, the first one was great. You know what I mean? 3 hours later, you're going, you know, I think the first one was the best one after all. You know, and you've.
But I find that with artists that a lot of them, the really talented ones, generally, they doubt what they've done, and everybody else is, you know, their jaws drop. They're like, wow, that's fantastic. But they always want that extra take, whether it's music, actors, directors, anything.
There's something so completely honest I found in the first take, the first delivery, the first shot that, you know, you've been preparing for and you give it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everything after that is like playing Macbeth.
Not necessarily. It depends on the actor. Some actors, again, every take can have a different kind of nuance to it. You know, especially when it comes to like body language. There's certain things that will just come up quite accidentally, but the actor will just play with it and go with it. It could be something as simple as the way they cough, or it could be just a movement that they made, and for some reason it just sells the scene a little bit better. So that's why it's best to have a few takes. Again, the first take can be golden, and you just go with it. But I found, in fact, there's sometimes I'll have several really great takes, but distinctly different. And it can be a little bit difficult to decide which one you want to use, because each one has a certain something that you really like and that you want to use, but obviously you can't keep using the same one.
You can't beat it to death.
Yeah.
You can't beat the horse to death.
Right.
One of the first film sets I ever worked on was R.I.P.D. back in 2011, you know, and they would do 20 to 25 takes of one of the stars drawing their weapon and yelling halt. 20 to 25 takes. It wasn't just right. The angle should have been here. That 25 takes. They spent, the budget was like, I think 150 million, 185 million. I think it grossed 30 million worldwide.
Right.
And it was the cause of the death of the tent pole.
Right.
So, you know, that's the other extreme. So somewhere there's some happy medium between the 30 takes and the one take.
True.
You know. But so what do you hope to do with this film beyond?
Well, I'm hoping to get distribution, obviously, but I try to build momentum and get a little bit further, a little along with each production. The last two productions were official SAG productions, so I'll probably be doing SAG moving forward, and you know I want to build my company to an LLC, and I want to get representation, and so between this one, Finding Surrogates, which is my second feature, which I'm currently writing, and then I have a third feature called The Wanderer's Game. It's based on a novel of the same name by an author named Kerry Singleton out of New York. So, and that may be my first film where I'll have a chance to, one, attach some names to it, and also look into product placement. So to me, it's all about building momentum towards that, because I think that may be my best shot of breaking through.
You mean, if I get lucky and should get a part in that movie,
there are a lot of
I'll have to be smoking Marlboros.
There are a lot of.
I'll have to be smoking Marlboros a lot.
Whichever cigarette company gives us some money.
And drinking a lot of Heineken.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
If Heineken wants to pay for the movie, you're a Heineken drinker.
I'm a great believer in that. I
don't
mean,
know,
beer and cigarettes. No,
Oh,
I mean
I thought you were saying product placement.
Yeah, I meant product placement. That's what I meant to say. Yes.
Beer, yes. Cigarettes, not so much.
I mean, let me ask you a question, because I mean, obviously, that generates revenue, and that's necessary. What does it cost? Because I like to try to share advice with people that have some experience. You know, with the young people out there that are thinking of doing something as far as film, whether it's on that side or this side of the camera, you know?
Right.
And I mean, I'm amazed at what some of the kids are doing today with the simplest of devices, you know, the movies, the quality they're making.
Right.
But, I mean, what does it cost to put together a 70-minute feature?
What does it
Roughly.
cost? Well,
You know?
there are different answers to that. I mean, I'm sure some people would quote much higher than I would. I made this time each year for about $600.
Wow.
And most of that money went towards food. So, I mean, obviously you want to feed people. That's the first step. At this level, most people don't expect pay. They like it, but unfortunately it's not really doable. That's why you need people who really believe in your film and really support what you're doing and believe in its potential. When you have that kind of situation and you're doing, like you said, the bartering professionally, there are always ways of paying them without paying them, you know, such as giving them publicity. And, you know, you keep them in mind for future productions. Because by the time, when I'm finally able to have a budget and pay, I mean, I've got all kinds of people that I want to repay for what they've done on my films previously. And, you know, I've had DPs and certain actors who say, hey, I'll work with you when you got a budget. And I appreciate that, but the truth is, if my choice is someone new or someone I've worked with and who's given me their time and their talents for nothing, those are the people I think I should reward first. That's what I believe in. I believe in I'm very strong on loyalty and paying dues. That's something I'm very, you know, when I work with an actor who clearly has no intention or desire to pay dues, they clearly want the quick attention. They want the fame. They want to jump on once all the work is done. And, you know, to me, someone who wants it bad enough will pay their dues. They'll sacrifice. They'll work really hard. So when it comes to me, as I progress, the people I associate with also progress. That's the way it should be done. And so, like with the Wanderers game, and when that comes up, I'll be doing a casting call here, and hopefully we're going to have a budget for that, and I'll be able to hand out pay for the first time, which I'll be very happy to, very proud. It takes time. It takes time to get to that point. I mean, you have people who do, you know, Indiegogo campaigns, and that's all fine and good, but it's, you know, you raise a bunch of money for a short film that's not going to make money, doesn't make all that much sense, because short films are mostly for practice, in my opinion. That's why there's usually not pay. That's where you get your experience. That's where you master your craft. You can make connections. But now that I'm at a point where I'm making a feature, now I have a product I can sell. And this is where things get much more serious, in my opinion, where you have potential to actually make money. It's no guarantee it will, but we're moving in that direction. And I think some people locally understand that, some not so much. I think they buy a little too much into the Hollywood East. And
I was very impressed by the fact that when you asked me to become a part of the cast of Between Us, that I suggested that you talk to the people at the SAG-AFTRA union, because I'm a union person. Yeah. And you were so willing, and I'll bet you found, and I know that you found out that your experience in dealing with them was that they bend over backwards to help you, and I think that adds so much cred.
It does.
To a director and a project.
They were very easy to work with. I mean, you know, when you first start out, you hear all kinds of horror stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually had actors who talk about SAG like they're the mafia. It's like, no, you don't want to get on their bad side.
They love to see you putting actors to work.
Exactly.
You know,
and when I finally got to, you know, nothing beats a fantasy like a quick dose of reality. You know, so I had that negative fantasy of what it was like to approach SAG. And then when we finally do, it was so easy.
On the advice of a close friend.
Yes. And it was so easy, and I wish I had done it sooner. But, you know, what can you do? You progress as you do.
And I think that, you know, from an actor's perspective, when I see someone who's taken the time to get a SAG low budget agreement, you know, in my mind, it shows that they care about the people that they're working with, rather than it's just, you know, I'll slave these people out, further my own name.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, you know, if something hits, I won't even throw them a cheese sandwich.
No, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, again, as I progress, I want the people I work with to progress.
But I like to get the word out to you know, other producers, other directors, that it's not the big boogeyman. They've been so helpful with me. Like some of the episodes that I shoot, I'll do a interview format like we're doing today.
Yeah.
But then occasionally I'll have people come in. We'll do a little bit of a mini play or a mini story, and some of them are SAG after. Okay, so I contacted the SAG office, and they prepared a waiver for me.
Okay.
You know, that allows, you know, them to. It's not if they're here as Joe actor, and I'm just asking them questions about what have you been up to lately.
Right.
Well, they're not acting, but as soon as they pretend to play, you know, Frank the barber.
Right, of course.
In a bit, now they're acting. But they were so helpful in preparing it for me, you know. And I just want to give a shout out to the union, you know, because I'm a union guy. But what do you think is the future for filmmaking? Because in my mind, with all these different, you know, with Netflix and everything streaming on everything and all these different stations, they need content.
Right.
Even if it's something crappy that they air at 3 a.m., they have to put something on.
They air things that are crappy all day on some of these
some of them. So there's hope for me, you know.
You mean film or television?
I'm talking about both, because it's so difficult to distinguish today because there's such a crossover. Films are being shown on TV. Some of the best and greatest writers are involved with TV now that you didn't see 10, 15 years ago, you know? And there's just like a merging of pathologies. That's one of the reasons why SAG and AFTRA merged, because this, you know, one was the Screen Actors Guild and one was the American Federation of Television and Recording Artists, and it's so indistinguishable today, you know?
I think despite the fact that streaming is more popular now, everybody thinks that all films are going to be streamed in the future. I don't think so. I think nothing's going to beat the cinema experience. It may take more to get people to the cinema. They may have to change what they're putting out into cinemas, but I don't think it's ever going to go away. I mean, everything comes back. You know, I was at a record store recently they actually had a large display of vinyl records. So, you know, old technology doesn't necessarily go away, and I think even you see some drive-ins popping up now. People thought those were obsolete and part of the past. So I think you may not see as many cinemas, but you're going to still see cinemas.
I think one of the things they need to do is, if someone's able to make a low-budget film that's good quality, you know, but they didn't have to pay Charlie Flannery $10 million to be in the picture.
Right.
If they could charge $5 to get in instead of $12, a lot more people.
You may actually see more independent films getting into the cinemas because they're cheaper to make. Therefore, they're worth the distribution cost to the studios. So I think it'll be the low budget indies and the big budgets that make like $1 billion. That's mostly what you'll see at the cinema, I think.
With the main problem I see with a lot of the independent things, the acting's usually good. Sometimes it's very good. It usually comes in the writing
Yeah.
and the editing. Those are the two biggest faults that I find.
Yeah, I see good production values. Sometimes there's a little lax in the writing. To me, the writing's everything. If you, no matter what kind of camera you're using, if the script is bad,
If it ain't a good story, it ain't a good story. You know?
Whenever when I see a production that brags about the camera they're using, I always think, how bad is that script? Because if that's the thing, that's the part they should be bragging about. That we have a really great story to tell. With me, it's always about the writing, definitely. The camera is an afterthought. It's like whoever I get on camera work, whatever they've got is good enough. That's what we're using. So to me, it always starts with the writing and, of course, casting the right people. So,
you know, I mean, if you were watching something written by the Coen brothers, wouldn't matter if the camera was a little out of focus at that particular time because the writing is just so overwhelming. You know.
Oh yeah.
And I really enjoyed working on your film Between Us.
Thank you.
Because it was. I shot 4 scenes in 2 days, but it was chock full of interpersonal relationships, and they were intimate ones too. I mean, not intimate in that way.
Well, that's the center of most of my scripts. My biggest influence on my writing is psychology, so I like the interpersonal relationships.
Well, you know what? I can't believe it. We have talked our way to an entire show. Time just flies. I'd like to thank you for tuning in today to Charlie Flannery Presents, and I'd like to thank my guest, Mr. Bryan Casey. If you're out there and you live in another town, I'd like to have, maybe you send me an email, charlieflannery@verizon.net. Be a guest. Tell me a little bit about what you'd like to talk about, and we may have you here one day on Charlie Flannery Presents. Until then, stay safe. Fuck, we ran way over.